Welcome to another episode of Searching for McGuffin with your hosts, George
Dan.
Gabe.
And Link, it's just missing, right?
Yeah.
It's just like,
He's been missing for a while. That international tour is just really
picking off. I mean,
people think we're kidding, but that's actually what's happening. He has not left the show. I don't really know how we release these episodes, so he might be intermittently in and on the show.
well, he is. He was on last week.
Oh, okay. Last week or? Oh, yeah, he was on last week.
I wasn't on last week.
Oh, you weren't on last week. Who can keep track? Yeah, who knows? I mean, Dan's back. I think this actually been a while since Dan's been on the show.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, how you doing?
I was on the show.
Yeah,
Was it Valentine's Day?
Yeah, Valentine's. Was I on Valentine's Day?
Everyone was on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Yeah, you
okay.
played that game.
Actually, they call me Mr. No Days Off because I never take a day off of work. I never take a day off this show.
It'd be hard to do that,
No.
considering as the studio is in your house.
Yeah, but all the hosts have keys to the studio.
Nah,
So.
it's now.
Now? Yeah, so now I can take a day off. But I won't. Instead, I'll just stop the show for the summer.
No new episodes.
I have control issues. We
I'm
didn't.
trying to find a way to transition.
I was going to say, we didn't plan a segue into this week's topic. Sometimes we just give up and we're just like, this week we're talking about... Is it going to be one of those weeks? Or
This week we're talking about fungus.
That's right. Because we're just a bunch of fun guys. Right? For our viewers.
Oh,
Gabe
yeah.
Pointed to himself. No, you can do that. That's
Ooh.
fine. I explain
Yeah,
it.
you don't
I'm
have
the
to
voice.
say, I point.
Yeah.
Gabe points at himself.
That's my job. That's what I'm the narrator. You are the protagonist and I am the narrator.
Have you ever had like randomly like on your TVs
Fungus?
not too. Well, yes, we all have these past couple of weeks.
Yeah. I got a wart that just won't go away.
Did you say that out loud?
Yeah, well, because I don't think it's a wart. I think it's a blister, actually. It's
Okay,
a blister that
let's
just
go with
hardens.
Wart is just an ugly word.
Yeah. Okay, anyways. You're saying?
Mm-hmm.
On your TV?
No, like when it narrates every single thing. Have you ever had that happen to you before?
Yeah, it happened to my Xbox where it's like on narrator mode.
It's terrible
Yeah.
because it's like I'll push the volume up once and it's like volume up 46, volume up 47, changing channel to blah 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 blah.
It's not terrible. It's great because it's for
Yeah,
blind
think about
people.
How handy.
I don't know if blind people
Yeah.
should be experiencing TV.
Also, do you think that a blind person, and no offense, maybe they do, but do you think a blind person needs to know it's level up 46, volume up 47? Or can they just like gauge how
Be
loud
like,
they
"This
want the
is
TV
too
to be?
This is
Like,
too loud.
can't they just figure out the level that they want? They don't need to know what the number on
Maybe
the screen.
those that are hard of hearing. I don't know.
No, because that's like, I'm OCD, right? So I always have to put the volume up to not an even number. Because my wife gets upset because I say even number, but it's really a number divisible by 5. Like
Okay, yeah.
35,
It's not an
40,
even number.
45. Right,
You go
right.
up by 5s?
I go up by 5s, right. It has to be a number.
Increments of 5.
Yeah, but sometimes like 40 is too low, but 45 is too high. So then I'll default to even numbers.
As long as you're not on 43 or something like that.
Yeah, no, it has to.
That's psychopathic behavior.
If it's not divisible by 5, then I'll settle for an even number.
Do you remember those cars that had like those like little, the volume counter wasn't numbers, it was like little bars, so
Yeah.
like it was one on top of the
Should've-
other.
I feel like we should.
So it'd be
bring
like, it was like this, and then the next one would be like this, and then the
This
top half was over.
this gesture of you putting your 2 fingers tip to tip is
just the
triggering
tips.
me. Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about?
No, repeat it again.
Okay, do you remember? I'll use an example. Jonathan's car, the Mercury,
Okay.
Okay.
Jonathan, friend of the show.
friend of the show.
Never listened to it though.
We never actually say Jonathan, right? His name
No,
was
yeah,
Tantan.
Tantan, yeah.
It was like 2 little bars.
Uh-huh.
That was like that's how it tells you the volume, and when you volume up, it's like more bars increase on the screen, but you could have half. You could have 1 bar here, but no bar up here. So that'd be like your odd
Nah,
number.
man, I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
Nah, I don't remember
I
that.
gotta show you that.
That's the Mitsubishi Mariner. Rest in peace.
Mercury.
Mercury Mariner? Oh, you're right. It's not a Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi was my car.
Mitsubishi
Galant.
Galant. Rest in peace, Mitsubishi Galant. Yeah, those cars gave us a lot of good times, great memories.
Yeah, now they're in a junkyard, just
Yeah.
like a lot of the cars in the topic we're talking about today.
I'll take it. The Last of Us. HBO's The Last of Us. We've kind of talked a little bit about this. Oh yeah, Dan's here, so we should probably, yeah. What were you saying, Dan? Yeah, on the monthly, and I think we sprinkled it in here and there, like how much we were anticipating and then enjoying, but now it's all done.
I mean, let's be honest. Who isn't talking about this show? Who isn't talking about Pedro Pascal?
Who isn't talking about Pedro Pascal more so than The Last of Us?
It's like we got Pedro Pascal for like, what was it, like 9 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
And now we have more Pedro Pascal for the next like 9 more weeks.
How many times did it overlap with The Mandalorian? Just once, not twice?
Yeah, because the second episode just came out last week.
Seamless translation.
No, the third episode came out last week. Yeah. We just watched the third episode. Oh, but the show had already been done because there wasn't any more episode. So yeah, no. So then it came out twice.
Wait, so
Yeah.
this was
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, because yeah, the third episode was, that makes sense.
Time travel's hard. But yeah, seamless transition. You were saying, Dan?
from
I mean, I don't mind the overlap, to be honest, especially since Pedro Pascal's not really on the Mandalorian apparently. But that's a topic for another day. In a few weeks, I assume.
Probably.
Yeah. But The Last of Us. Oh boy, where to start? And to start us off, Dan, where to start?
Let's start.
None of us played the games forewarning, did we? Huh?
Oh,
Throw that to me.
Oh yeah, full disclosure. We were talking about this ahead of time. Gabe's gonna hit every possible object in the studio.
Don't tempt me.
Okay, let's talk about the history of this game. We talked about anticipating it. What is the story of The Last of Us? And you PlayStation people probably have a little better insight.
I wasn't a PlayStation person when this game came out,
Mhm.
or even
Yeah,
at the
neither.
height of the game.
It comes out like every other year, though. I'm pretty sure the same game.
I own the game. I just never played it.
I don't even have a PlayStation. I also own the game. Dan, you own this game?
I also own the game.
Okay.
I just feel like this game
You're
is,
doing great
and
on
it's weird. It's because it's like, I feel like I've heard so much about this game that I feel like I have played this game. And
Yeah.
because obviously the game's great and everyone raves about it. I've had so many, like one of my closest friends, he absolutely loves the game and loves both of them. I think he loves both of them. And then obviously, like, there's, I guess, controversy with the second one, but that's not to take away that. I mean, the game speaks for itself. I think.
Mhm.
I think, you know, all the accolades it's gotten, all the Game of the Year edition. I think it's just, I'm sure it is a great game. I just really, and I know most of the stuff that happens. I just haven't played it.
I'm going to play it. I'm definitely going
More-
to play it.
More than it's a great game.
Yeah. It's one of those
Think-
story-driven games, right?
Exactly. Mostly story. You're playing through a story, which is why I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I think I was reading about how this was supposed to be a film. It was supposed to be adapted as a film,
Yeah.
and then it was in development hell for years. And then I think they weren't making any like headway with Uncharted either. That
I wish they wouldn't have made any headway with Uncharted.
Yeah, well, they got what they got, but I'm happy because we got a show out of this.
Yeah,
I think they got the rights back in like 2019 or something like that. That's when they started. I think that's when it got picked up.
And I think it works as a show much more than I can't imagine it as a film.
Oh no, yeah. The guy that does it, Craig. I think his name is Craig Mazin. I think the guy that does Chernobyl. I think he was tapped. He was, they reached out to him to work on the show, and he was kind of bummed to find out that it was gonna be adapted for a film because he believed that it definitely worked better as a TV show. And I mean, the way that things worked out, it ended up being a TV show. He got to work on it, so everything works out.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason, is what the Fablemans taught me.
You like that movie?
I did like that movie, Gabe.
Happy for you.
That was Oscar season. All Oscar season was like, I'm like, I watched Triangle of Sadness, and Gabe, it's like, what'd you think? I said I liked it. He said, I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I am happy for you.
But back to The Last of Us. I actually have played some of it. The introduction,
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend at work, and I don't know what it was. My wife had meetings because we usually
school.
yeah, at my old school, and like my wife had a meeting. I don't know because we were working on different campuses, so she was busy and I wasn't. And he was like, "Oh, why don't you just come over?" And I was like, "Okay, that's cool, I guess." So I came over and he's like, "Do you play PlayStation?" This sounds like a story from like when I was a kid, right? Do you play PlayStation? I was
Hey,
like,
come over to my house and play video games.
yeah. And I was like, no, I play Xbox. And he's like, you got to play this game. So he put on The Last of Us and he's like, here, take it. And then I was like, what are these shapes? Triangle, circle, X. But once I got past that, I played that intro, right? With his daughter, right? Before the time jump. And I was like, wow, this game is cool. It's a shame that it's on PlayStation and that I just never played it. But they had a PlayStation sale and it's like, this game is $5. And I was like, I'll buy it one day. One day I'll get a PlayStation or borrow a PlayStation and play it. And I think I already have it on schedule for this summer. So I'm taking your PlayStation actually, Gabe. So
Sure. I'll be done with Hogwarts by then.
okay. But will Hogwarts be done with you?
As long as they don't add Quidditch.
Oh, if they add
Except
Quidditch,
2 months, then
that's it. That's what you're doing
I
all
will
year.
never play another soccer game again. Quidditch 23.
They should do a Last of Us soccer game. What do you think? Like with zombie heads or something.
Zombie head. I think the zombie should be playing with people.
Full disclosure, they're not zombies, which is something I had a misconception for years about this, right? Like it's really interesting. The zombie the zombie genre is a little played out, I would say. Do you guys feel the same way?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Everyone does it. Not everyone, but it's.
There was a boom period where everybody did it, right? It was like World War Z and Pride and Prejudice and zombies, and
Someone said they didn't like that movie.
I didn't really like that movie.
I liked that movie.
I thought it was fine, but the book was better, but the book's not really that good either.
Read the book.
Pride and Prejudice and zombies. What, you never? Or you talking about World War Z?
World War Z.
Oh, I was talking about Pride and Prejudice
I was
and
like, I
zombies.
didn't know there was a book.
Oh, there's a book. The book is better.
Oh,
also.
really?
Oh, good
Yeah.
for them.
I really enjoyed the book, Gabe.
I'm happy for you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I like the movie. No, I like that movie. I like that movie a lot. Maybe a lot, but very much so.
Are we back on World War Z?
No, we're still talking about Pride and Prejudice. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, we're back on World War Z.
We're just talking about Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, just the original Jane Austen novel. You read that in high school, right, Dan? You totally did that book report we gave you? Nah, I'm just kidding. We didn't do Pride and Prejudice. Your class wasn't.
It's a good thing you didn't say anything.
He just
I
lies.
did.
Yeah, for sure.
We've already covered the fact that he just played Animal Crossing that entire back half
I
of
mean,
that year.
it's okay. I'll give you that one. Zombies. No, I think after, what was it? I think it was like, what, 2012?
Mm-hmm.
When that guy on bath salts,
Oh yeah.
came out. I think it was.
You want to give a little context for anyone who may not have been around in 2012?
What grade was I in? I think I was a sophomore in high school. And I just hear a bunch of people talking like stuff on the news, and people are talking, they're like, zombies are real, the apocalypse is happening. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And apparently there was a homeless man being basically viciously attacked by another man on like the freeway, and like this guy was like eating, like basically he was eating his face.
Yeah.
He was chewing on his face, and the police came, intervened, and they're trying to like, put this guy down. They're trying to do it, like tase him. Like I don't know if they tried to tase him straight off the bat, but I know that whatever they tried didn't have much effect on him.
And I think they tried to tase him straight off the bat. It was Miami police. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So they basically put like 2 in his chest, and the guy's still running at the.
I think that's what they tried to do initially, 2 in his chest, just right off the bat.
Yeah, straight off the bat, just like no type of like conflict resolution. Just
Hey,
hey,
boom, boom.
ow, pop, pop. 2 in his chest, like keeps going at him, and then they put it in the head, and that's what puts him down. But I think once like the media got hold of this news and everything, like was like, I think there was like pictures released of the victim's face,
Uh-huh.
and it was traumatic. I remember I saw a picture. I'm like, oh my god, is that a human? It looked like a prosthetic.
Wait, no, what didn't this guy eat another person's face? Is this not the same event?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Oh, did you mention that?
That
Oh,
ate
because
his face?
he eats him first and then they put him down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was he like on top of the guy? And
Yeah.
then
I think
okay.
that's what it was. and then they released the pictures of the guy that got his face eaten.
I got confused because you said the victim, and I was like, I thought the guy that got 2 in his chest was the victim, but I guess
Oh no,
he's the perpetrator.
He's the suspect.
Sometimes it's hard to keep track who the
Yeah.
victims are.
Justice is gray.
Yeah, that's fair.
Speaking
Speaking of worn out zombie films, anyways.
I think zombie fatigue for me came because
Oh yeah, that's my tipping point.
everyone was talking about zombies. Since I wasn't watching zombie genre.
Well, what's worse is that I was watching. I was all in, and The Walking Dead specifically. I had all the Telltale games. I beat them all. I think chapter 1 and chapter 2 up until that famous death, and then the protagonist changes.
Oh, that show was awesome.
And then so then I was into the graphic novels, and me and my wife used to literally show up to Barnes and Nobles the day that a new paperback dropped to read it in one sitting, every 6 months.
Oh wow.
That's how into it we were. All throughout its run, like through college and then into adulthood, like we were still doing it. And the show, I love the pilot. I still think the pilot is one of the best zombie movies that there is. It was excellent. It was amazing. And then it was all downhill from there. Not all at once, because you said the show was amazing. I don't know if you want to unpack that a little bit.
The show was awesome.
Yeah, you thought the show was awesome?
The show was awesome at the beginning, yeah.
I thought the first episode was awesome. Then
I really enjoyed like up to like basically the prison sequences, and then that's when I was kind of like, once Carl has to cut the baby out of his mom, then I'm like, all right. And then that for me was like the end. Then I think I made it to like maybe 2 more. I got to like season 6 or 7. Then I was when they started like, once they get to that like colony, I think I know that's not even true. I got back on board because Negan comes.
Yeah.
Because Negan comes. So I caught up and I watched it. I'm like,
oh, you've seen Negan stuff?
yeah.
I that's it. I stopped when Negan joined the show. And spoilers, if anyone at this point cares, he kills Glenn.
Yeah,
right?
that's the part where I was like, because they do like the whole, I think it was season finale or season premiere, I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
And like, everyone knows it's gonna happen,
Mm-hmm.
but everyone's like, are they actually gonna do it? Because I think they tease like, I think the episode ends with them like Negan hits somebody.
Yeah.
And you don't know who it is.
Right. Also, they've pretended to kill Glenn many times
Yeah.
and like fake this out.
And you have to wait like the whole week to find out who they actually like, beat the crap out of. And it wasn't Glenn. It was another fake out.
Really?
Yeah, it was Abraham.
I don't remember this.
Okay. It was Abraham that they beat.
Oh, they killed
first.
Abraham. He would have died already in the comics, I think.
I
at
think
this
so,
point. Yeah.
I think that's what they kept him for that. Because when you see it, it's like it happens and it's like, oh, like who is it? Who is it? You don't know. And then that's it. The episode's over. I think that's how the season ends, I think. And the new season begins and yeah, that's how the season ends. And you have to wait a whole nother season for it to come back to find out who it was.
I think I never came back. That's what I think happened. I didn't know there was a fake out.
And so everyone thinks, oh, Glenn survived, blah, blah, blah. Abraham dies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He still kills.
That's horrific.
But I will say that for me was, I mean, it's just a quick, like, side note, it was just, that to me was truly like haunting and terrifying.
Yeah.
Like I was watching with a bunch of my friends and there was like genuine fear in the room. And that's like one of the like, I don't want to say best experiences with Walking Dead.
That's one of the best experiences of my life.
It wasn't best experience.
The day they
Dead,
killed Glenn.
But the fact that it's like, a TV show can like instill that fear in me, like kind of like make it palpable. I think that part was, especially with a lot of tension writing into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks to that, but then the rest of the show is just crap. So
I think that was for me in the comics, the jumping the shark moment, because it was the show
with Glenn.
Yeah, the book was like, I think it was issue 100 if I'm remembering correctly. It was like this big deal that they were building up to, and then that was it. And it was so sad and depressing. And then like, I don't think the comic is ever the same again. Yeah, because Negan comes and they do all out war, and it's basically, it feels a lot like what they did with the governor. Like they're trying to create a society.
Yeah, they just had another one.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, this book is now spinning its wheels, and I felt that coming on the show, and that's it. I just dropped off. And I've heard a bunch of horrible choices that they
because
make
what, like Negan ends up like teaming up with them, like he ends up being like a good guy and like works.
The anti-hero.
And I'm just like, you can't do that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I gave up on that show. But that is an example of, a zombie show that maybe just didn't meet our expectations.
And I want to say that it had a lasting effect on the way that I see these things, because I used to be into zombie films a lot. They were rare when I was growing up.
I mean, because what you have like 28 days later, 28 weeks later.
Yeah,
Those shows are great.
Yeah,
Like,
stuff was
I mean,
awesome.
the movies are fantastic. You
Yeah.
know.
But I was not super sold on Last of Us going into it. I've heard the great game was good. I've played a little bit of it, so it has a reputation. HBO's great, but sometimes HBO can be a little.
Well, it's because you go back into that video game adaptation territory.
Yes.
It's like the majority of that
Curse.
stuff isn't good.
Yeah, and that's a big factor, right? And with Walking Dead, it was a comic book adaptation, so it has its own kind of dynamic, but video game has an even worse
Yeah, but
history.
it's like you still have certain story beats, certain story components that's different from video game dynamics. But I think where this excels is that I think the story was made. I think this was built around the story.
The game is
Instead-
cinematic.
Yeah, and I think that it's easier to move on to television or film. I don't necessarily know if film would have done it justice, but I think especially like where we are with streaming and like television, like them
Yeah.
getting the budgets they have for this stuff, I think,
Because it was basically film quality.
yeah, it was. I mean, I think it sucks that like it took that long, but I'm glad that the resources that they needed are at where they're at now.
Mhm.
Like a big studio like HBO to take on that and to give it like actual care, like to give it like to make it quality. I'm happy about that, even though I know those people were probably suffering trying to get this thing made.
Yeah.
Especially it's really cool how the creator of it is also so heavily attached to the production of the show.
Yeah, the writer EVP of the show is the creator of the game, Neil Druckmann, correct?
Mhm.
And you know what? It can be a catch-22 involving the original creator when it comes time to adapt something from source material. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Do you think it's usually a positive or a negative when you involve the original creator?
I kind of compare, at least right now, because we're fresh off of Halo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Halo had no input at all from anyone.
Yeah.
So it's like, right now, I see, including the creator. I'm sure there are cases where it couldn't make things. I think that's the way to go.
I would want to be honest. It's like, and I mean, I guess every situation is different, but you get stuff like Game of Thrones, and you have someone like George R.R. Martin, like working heavily with it, and like once like that kind of source material is over, and like they're not necessarily asking for opinions as much from the main creator, it's like then the show.
Is there a reason why? Is there a reason
awry.
why that happened? Why did they
Love.
stop asking?
Here.
There was no books. There was nothing more. to go
Also,
off.
he's just like not gonna tell you what's in the books. Is that?
I think so. I don't because the guy hadn't written it. The guy still hasn't finished.
Elden Ring.
Well, was it worth it?
It's a fair game of last year, so yeah.
Okay. That's as far as it goes. Just last year, your favorite game of last year. Does it make your top 10, top 20?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But at the same time, it's like playing another game that's probably my favorite for this year is
Not The Last of Us.
no.
What?
It's Hogwarts.
Oh, okay. Hogwarts Legacy. Well, that's a game that the creators, right, heavily involved with. I don't know about the development of the game, but I know she's very hands-on with the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's still possible to make something good, but I think it's harder to capture the essence of what the original project was.
Yeah.
I think having the creator on board, I think, does help. But sometimes creatively, it might hinder the
Yeah.
the process.
Well, like
as
a George Lucas in Star Wars. I think sometimes him being directly involved was a hindrance to certain projects. I think sometimes maybe they should have followed his notes a little closer, then they got a little creative with it. I think Marvel's the same way. Kevin Feige didn't have a history with the comic books,
Mm-hmm.
but he had a vision for it. I think on the other side, people like Geoff Johns, heavily involved with DC Comics. He's a comic book writer. A lot of the stories based on his stuff, but
Doesn't necessarily change.
yeah, not really equipped for.
I think it comes down to the combination of the team. The people that are actually making the adaptation versus the people that created. I think that needs to work for. Because Jet Johns had to work with who?
Oh yeah, people like Akiva Goldsman or Who's that guy that does Berlanti, Greg Berlanti?
Mhm.
Yeah. The Green Lantern.
So it's a mashup, But I think Neil Druckmann, his addition, and watching those like after episode like
Oh, I love those.
commentaries.
I wish every show had them.
Yeah,
same.
every show should have.
Yeah, like I think we were talking about it. I think it was funny because you had mentioned something, and I was thinking the exact same thing because I think we were watching Mando around the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and Mando finishes, and I'm like, "Where's the after?
Yeah,
the after episode commentary."
And it wasn't like I was expecting the Last of Us people to do it. I was like, why isn't Jon Favreau
Yeah.
and what's his name? Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. I was gonna say Nathan Filoni, and I was like, no,
Nathan
that's
Fillion.
that's him. Why aren't they just talking to me? Like I envision them too, because they do those like Mando docs, but they do them like way later, and those are great too. But I feel like getting it right after instead of waiting like a couple months till the show is over, because I don't even
It
think
gets
I've
more
seen all the Mando ones. Go ahead, Dan.
It gets more people if you put it.
Yeah.
Like I stayed for it.
I talked to a friend who watches Last of Us, and they didn't even know that they existed. And I was like,
Really?
yeah. I was like, what? You just turn it off?
I
for
would
like
just do that all the time.
Yeah,
with
they
Game
don't
of
just
Thrones.
sit there on the credits and like.
I feel like that's a
always
show
do
you
with
have
Game
to
of
sit through the
Thrones
credits.
and House of the Dragon,
Yeah.
and I don't know.
Well, this friend hadn't seen Game of Thrones except for the last episode.
Oh, her.
Yeah. And she was like, this show is great. And we were like, no.
Curious.
Interesting. What about this cast? The cast of The Last of Us.
Really got-
The cast of us.
You got Pedro. I'm sold.
What is it that you love about Pedro Pascal so much?
I don't know. I think it was ever since. Well, I saw him on another show. I saw him. I think the first time I saw him was on this show called Graceland.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a USA Network show or something like that.
What's
Show
it about?
wasn't that great. It was like it's like one of those like law enforcement. I think it was like FBI. I think it's like this FBI, not agency, but like team or whatever that goes
Mhm.
undercover.
I think I've heard of the show. I didn't tune in because I thought it would be about Elvis. Graceland?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, but
It's like a grown up like FBI. It's like a grown up 21 Jump Street type
Right,
of thing
okay.
where it's just like a bunch of different undercover.
it's a bunch of kids pretending to be adults.
No.
No.
It's a bunch of adults basically playing as kids. It's basically they all live like there's a bunch of undercover operatives and they all live under the same house, and kind of sounds like a reality TV show, doesn't it?
And yeah, I would watch that reality TV show.
I enjoyed it. It ended very abruptly, but Pedro Pascal is in it.
That was
and-
before Narcos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
and I like that's the first time I ever like saw him, so like that's what I had my reference point. I didn't think anything of it, because his character has like a not a minor role, but it's like
Yeah.
he ends up biting the bullet relatively like soon.
Oh, spoilers for Graceland on the USA Network.
I don't even know where you'd be able to watch that.
Probably on the USA Network app.
Doubtful. They'll probably do like a Paramount. You have to go through 16 different streaming
That's
services to find
true. Season 1 is only on Plex.
it. And then obviously Narcos, and after Narcos, like I was just like, this guy's pretty cool. And I think I saw him in some other projects, but I think what it was is Game of Thrones.
The Sequelizer.
Game of
He's the bad guy.
he is in that movie. Huh?
Yeah. I think he carries the movie because it was the only way I made it till the end.
Forget that he's in that movie.
Yeah.
But his character in Game of Thrones, I think, was sick. I think one of my favorite parts of that season.
A show stealer.
For sure. And then I really started paying more attention. Then I heard that he's gonna be Mando. I ended up seeing him when I went to Star Wars Celebration. So that was cool. There's also the fact that he's like, he's Hispanic and he's like, a big name like that. And
Oh,
also
you give into that representation and stuff.
love it. Him and Oscar Isaac, their bromance. It's just stuff like that. And he just seems like a very just like genuine cool person. I mean, I have no idea what this person's actually like,
Right.
but I like his work. I like, his body of work and what he's put out so far. And he's Mando, bro. This guy's a badass.
Okay. For our listeners who are interested in knowing more about Graceland, I believe all 3 seasons are available on Hulu.
3?
Yeah, I just
Wait,
I was also yeah.
on what? Hulu?
Hulu, yeah.
I
So
have to watch season 3.
check it out.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
you
hard to find as you.
Wait, I watched season 3.
you got
Anyways.
a whole other season of Graceland without Pedro Pascal, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the first time I saw him was Narcos, and I mean his work as Mando has been impeccable. But wow, I think he shines more than ever in Last of Us because I
Yeah,
think he really
'cause
gets
he
to
doesn't have
carry.
a mask on his head.
Yeah, that's a good
Helmet.
point. Is it a mask, a helmet? The helmet has a mask, no? Does a visor count as
I
a
don't
mask?
know how those things work, to be honest, because it's like I feel like there's so much space here, but maybe not. But you can like decompress the air so that you can breathe in space, or like you can breathe like your own oxygen.
You can use the Mando suit in space? I don't think you can, man.
Maybe not space, but it's like he can make it so that the like his helmet pressurizes so it doesn't, or depressurizes so that
That's true. That is true.
I don't understand how that works, to be honest.
I don't think it does work. I don't think it makes sense.
Maybe it's like I don't know how that would work. It has to be like a sleeve that he puts his head into.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if I talked about it on the show or if it was before we hit record last week, but I think I complained about finding this article on the internet that explained how all the science in Star Wars doesn't make any sense. And then I just immediately closed the
That's stupid.
internet. Yeah. I was just like, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done with the internet. I canceled my subscription.
Was it? Wait, never mind. We're gonna get off topic.
No, we care about getting off topic.
I
But
was gonna say about the Last Jedi bombs.
I don't know what that is.
You remember
No.
in the Last Jedi at the beginning of the movie when they're doing like a bombing run?
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're dropping the bombs,
Mm.
and people were like, "That doesn't make any sense. They're in space."
Bro, have you seen these movies?
And I was like, "What?
What?
You're gonna tell me that you can't come up with like a reason for that?" Which they did, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like because it became such a big thing. People were like, "Go read the book. Go read those like those things where they explain like the everything, like the costumes and the props and the ships and stuff like that."
The stuff at the end of the movie?
The books, no.
Like,
they're like they're not
no?
children's
The
books,
director
but
doesn't come talk to you after the movie.
Ryan Johnson did do that.
Oh,
He has
really?
a commentary of The Last
Interesting.
Jedi.
Does it come on after the credits like an HBO series?
No, I think you have to select.
Nah, I don't like that.
think
I
you
want
have
it to
to
just
choose
autoplay
Too many
after the
steps
song.
already.
Yeah. So The Last of Us, this
Yeah,
cast,
F. Ryan Johnson.
besides Pedro Pascal, we got Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Right? We got Gabriel Luna as that other guy, his brother. What's his name?
Carl.
That's not it. That's
What is his name?
ooh. Never ask a question you don't know. the
$5
answer
to
to.
who can get that name without looking it up.
Well, I looked it up and it's
It is Tommy. I was never gonna guess it, so I'm glad you looked it up. Yeah. I like Gabriel Luna.
I do like him.
He was the first time I saw him, I think was Ghost Rider, right?
Ghost Rider and then Terminator.
And then Terminator. Salvation, that's the name of the movie? Which one's Salvation? That's the one with
Salvation's
the
with
heart.
Christian Bale.
Oh, he's not Christian Bale? They're not the same person?
No.
Oh, okay. I knew that.
This
No,
is-
it's
this
got
isn't-
Genesis. Genesis? No, that's not that one
What is
either.
the one you hate?
Yeah, I hate almost all of them actually.
It has a stupid name. I didn't like the name of it.
It had because it had Y's instead of I's. It was like Gen YSYS.
Yeah, no, Genesis is dumb, but it's not the one I'm talking about.
Dark Fate.
Dark Fate. I didn't like that name.
You didn't like that name?
No.
I mean, I think at this point you're just running out of titles for Terminator movies, so you should probably just stop making Terminator
James
movies.
Cameron made that one?
No, James Cameron pretends that every Terminator sequel is the best Terminator movie ever, makes me buy a ticket to it, and then regret it. He hasn't actually made any of them.
I think James Cameron is turning into my new Zack Snyder.
More successful. Zack Snyder's more successful older brother.
Yeah.
Dark Fate had good elements in it. At the end of the day, I thought I liked it when it came out, and then after that, I was like, I just didn't need it. But he's good in it. I'm a fan. I hope his Ghost Rider comes back. There's been rumors, but there's been rumors forever.
Seriously?
Because they were,
Him?
yeah. Why you don't like that?
I loved him.
Oh,
but
okay.
Don't get my hopes up.
Well, they had already greenlit a show for Ghost Rider that was going to tie into that Hellstorm show that they did on Hulu.
Never saw it.
Nobody did. That's why they pulled the plug when they remember when TV and movies were separate in Marvel, and then
Yeah.
they fired, I think Ike Perlmutter. I think they fired him. And then they're just like, okay, Feige's in charge of everything. That's when they were like, okay, we're gonna cancel all those projects. So the last thing that they made was that MODOK animated series
Mm.
that looks like Robot Chicken.
Hmm.
But
Well, I
yeah,
think-
he
I
was
think with all
cast.
the
for-
buzz, I think with all the buzz of him, like, in Last of Us, that
Yeah.
can give him a good push.
Yeah, and even if it's like they can do a Ghost Rider movie that he's in, even if they pick like a new Johnny Storm, like have multiple Ghost
He's
Riders.
Robbie, right? Robbie
Yeah,
Reyes.
Robbie Reyes.
I think it's such a good opportunity, man. I think it's such a great opportunity,
Yeah,
especially since Marvel is struggling with Hispanic actors.
Yeah. Well, this is my dream. This is my dream. This is my dream. And I know it's pie in the sky, but we live in a multiverse. And this isn't even a multiverse idea. Whatever. Get him back as Robbie. Get Nicolas Cage back as Johnny Blaze. Right? And then just cast a new hot Danny Ketch. And let that be your Ghost Rider. Like, Gabriel Luna and Nicolas Cage can just be side characters in the Ghost Rider world. And you still get to recast. Yeah, make Danny Ketch this generation's Ghost Rider. And just do everything you want to do with him. And just have a spot open for the other two Ghost Riders.
And make it Pedro Pascal.
That's a hot young. So let's talk about that, by the way. Pedro Pascal starts this show in his 30s. How do we feel about that?
He's like, what, 50?
Yeah.
in current time?
Yeah, so according to the show, he looks terrible for a 30-year-old, but looks great for a 50-year-old. Because the time jump is like right away. Great. That's literally what they did.
Dude, honestly, that 20 years threw me for a loop, man. I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a big time jump.
Yeah, that is.
Did you guys expect that? Did you know there was that much time?
Did not know.
I knew there was a time jump.
Yeah.
Actually.
Okay.
And sometimes like it gets to me. Like I forget that it was been 20 years, but then they'll say stuff that I'm like, oh wait. Like Ellie doesn't know what a normal world is like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know?
I forget that like when they go to her school and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah,
like when she freaks out about certain things that they talk about, I'm like, yeah. Also, Joel's 50. Great.
He does look great. But he's actually 50, right? So
is he? Maybe.
Yeah, I think Pedro Pascal's in his 50s. Speaking of Ellie, Bella Ramsey. Had you seen her before?
Game of Thrones.
Danny, had you had any experience with Bella Ramsey?
The first time I was, and it was a lot of negativity around it.
Really?
Yeah,
I hadn't heard this.
Stupid, man.
Why? What was the negativity here?
Just want video game to look like a person.
That's not important, I don't think. But
they were saying something.
It came in a lot of negative stuff.
They were saying something.
I mean, she killed it.
Things. She does.
She
great.
did. And she was really good as the little girl.
I think. Yeah.
In Game of Thrones, she was really good. She was a lot younger. It wasn't like a huge part, but I had forgotten that.
But she had some, like the parts that she does have, like
especially later.
They're great. Like when she basically stands up for John.
Yeah.
And like hails him King of the North. That was one of the most like riveting scenes I think in that show.
And how cool is it to be like so young and have like a pivotal scene like that on such an iconic series already?
For sure.
Stepping into Ellie is a difficult challenge, but like giving a performance more iconic than your last one is also difficult at that age. And I think she hit a home run, man.
I mean, because we've seen how child actors can.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah, but I also think like that role that she has in Game of Thrones, like as a child amongst like adults and grown-ups in such like a harsh reality, I think like she definitely holds her own. So it's like hearing that she was going to be put into this and she's going to have more of a chance to shine and be on her own. I think it's just like, I felt like she'd be like, equipped and ready. I think she's a great actress. So at least from the little that I saw,
right,
was definitely something that I'm like, I think she's
the potential was there.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she did.
Dan, you talked about the fans many times wanting the actors to look like the characters, or maybe even the actors that play the characters in the game to play them in this medium.
Oh yes, right. It was Ashley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she
got a cool cameo.
She did.
I thought that was
which
awesome.
I thought was the best way to include her.
Like the way that episode starts, like I mean, no spoilers, but like the way that it starts, I'm like, I know you, but I don't really know you.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, even when she just starts talking, I'm like, okay. Because you can tell.
Yeah.
You could tell, like, and I haven't even played the game, so I'm just like, oh, that's Ellie.
Yeah. How much of the game have you seen, having not played it yourself?
Not much. I've seen maybe some random clips. Some
clips
friends play it, and I know, like, the big stuff that happens in the second game, but.
What about you, Dan? What was your experience with it?
Well, I only knew about her being part of the game. Like,
yeah.
She always showed up. That's how I knew she was. But
I
seeing
just,
her show up in the show.
yeah, I saw her and I'm like, oh, it's that girl from Avengers. And then I'm like, wait a minute.
What's her part
That
in
sounds
Avengers?
Is she in Avengers?
She's
Gamora, stunt double. I'm just kidding.
she's that waitress that gets saved by Cap. And
No
she
way.
looks at him longingly.
Oh wait,
And then she does the interview of the news. He saved us.
Oh yeah.
how do
Okay.
you remember?
I don't know. There's things with
TikTok
faces.
told him.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Really, you really remember that?
Yeah.
You were like, "That's the girl from Avengers." That's
Yeah.
crazy. I didn't even notice.
I didn't know she did the game. That's the thing. Until I saw her and I'm like,
Mm.
oh, you're that girl from there. But then I heard her voice and I'm like, oh wait, that's probably Ellie. And then I don't. Can I say it?
What? Is it because
Like
it's
her
spoilers?
role, like her role.
Yeah, I think right now at this point, if you haven't seen the show, why have you listened to the first half hour of this episode? But yeah, I think full spoilers are on display.
We haven't
here.
got into.
Yeah, we haven't actually. Yeah.
I think the fact that like she's Ellie's mom is actually really
Yeah.
really cool.
Brilliant. I would say brilliant. And I
Yeah.
don't throw that word around.
Because it's like
I'm not Ron Weasley.
it's cool. Obviously outside of. I get that because I was watching all of them. It's cool because I was like, from the outside, obviously it's really cool. Like the video game character, the voice actress gets to play, and even not stop motion,
Motion capture.
mocap. Yeah, like her resemblance. I think is really cool. Like how they are able to include her, but also the fact that she's her mom and just the way that she acts there. It's like I can totally see this person being her mom.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think on so many levels it works so well.
And that kind of idea that where we come from is ingrained in us, even if we're not directly connected to it. When you see those like Anakin Luke parallels, but he was never really there for you to be influenced. And it's like the same thing here. Like you can see what she gets from her mom, even though she was, barely born.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was great. And the way that the original Ellie birds the Ellie that we get.
I think it was fantastic.
Because from a creative standpoint, it's the same thing. It's like, that even though Bella Ramsey makes the character her own, you're always going to be influenced by that first depiction.
No, and that's the thing. It's like, to include someone that's obviously this character, because it's not like some small role. Like
Yeah.
the video game is a global phenomenon. It's a big deal, and I think that they handled it really well. Because it's like this character's like a part of you, and like you're able to have such a even though it might be small, might be short, but it's like such an impact in the little time that you have there. I think it's great. Which I don't know if the same can be said for Joel.
Meaning?
Joel's voice actor?
Yeah.
I feel like he was just like another character there.
Just to get on just to be in yeah. And then the original.
Where was he?
He was with the colony. He's the guy that the cannibals. He's like the second-hand man, not the main bad guy.
The guy that
the
gets
other
axed and just blood splurt
yeah
all over.
Which
the
like he died, and
shop.
I'm like, I thought he would have had more of a
Right.
role or impact.
He seemed really excited about that death roll though. You didn't see the after episode on that one?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if you know, Dan. After the episodes are over and the music, they come on and they talk to you a little bit, tell you.
Yes, the projector's still on.
And then the original Tommy was on it too. You remember that one?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you didn't know this one either, Dan? The original Tommy was part of that like militia group that followed that Karen from 2.5 Men.
Oh yeah, the guy with the long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was pretty cool.
Yeah. You probably didn't notice because you didn't know Tommy's name. So
I thought that episode was great.
That episode was great. And
like that episode reminded me, I was like, oh, it's a zombie show. There are infected people.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of the reason like why this show works so well.
Why?
Because yes, you do have this, virus or infection, whatever it is, that spread and makes people into zombies or infected. But I feel like the real villain is just other people,
I mean,
it's just
like
surviving. I think
kind of came the last.
Yeah, that's an excellent title. I think that title like drew me in the first time I ever heard it. Like, again, never played this game, but like, this is good. This is
This
important.
seems good. This seems like a good show about being raptured. You know,
No, they already did that one. Isn't that the leftovers?
the leftovers.
Yeah, which I thought was about like food, and I was really disappointed during the pilot.
I mean, from a certain point of view.
Oh, there's some differences, right, between the game and the show. I think Dan's more familiar with them.
I mean, one of the major, right, the way the
Okay, what was that about?
in the game it's more like spores.
Mm.
You have to wear
Oh, that's not very. That's not very like intuitive for a television series, right? For all your characters have to be wearing gas masks.
Yeah, you just
And
got
there's
Pedro
certain parts-
Pascal to take off the helmet for Mando. Like, you're gonna put him in another one?
I think that was
So-
one of the things.
There was a big criticism.
Actually, well, there's a big criticism by
All fan bases.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been a theme on
It is.
here. It's like there's plenty of good fans, plenty of bad fans. The bad ones are really loud, and it exists in all communities. I think.
it was a good change.
Were there any other differences that they like outlined?
The year that
Oh, is it?
so in the game it starts in 20.
I mean, that makes sense. You said 2030.
No, 13.
No.
I think.
What was the second year you said?
For the show it starts in
2003.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh.
because it's 2023.
So then the
right?
so the
And then
time
it
jump
skips-
so the time jump is bigger than on the show.
It skips to 2033.
Okay.
What?
The show ends up at 2023. The game ends up.
Also, the game's
Oh.
like in the future, and the show is in our
They
current
shifted
So
time.
we
back.
just went back 10 years.
Oh, okay, that's really interesting. So the time jump is the same, but the show is more current. It's not a futuristic
I
world.
mean, I guess that works because it's like it's in the year we're in now. So
I think it works better. Yeah.
You get too
There's a
futuristic,
lot.
it gets a little.
Small changes.
Yeah, because they have that episode that focuses on their passing when only one of them is gone. And I know there was creative choices to kind of fill in some of those characters a little bit better, but I think it worked. And you know what? That's what I think is great about the show. We talked about Pedro Pascal being a hook for the show. Like, we want to watch this. He's on the sidelines for a lot of it, which I did not expect. And they tell us stories like Ellie and her friend, which might have been one of the weaker chapters for me. But then in the finale, they go back and they build on that loss and how it connects to the end. And I was like, that recap for the finale, I was like, this is the greatest show because I'm marking out over this recap because it goes chapter by chapter and tells you why we did not waste your time in any of these episodes. None of this was filler. All of this has led to this. And then like Frank and what's the other guy's name? Bill, Frank and Bill, like their chapter. The father and son trying to escape the city.
Oh, that one was really good.
And just all those little stories.
The brothers.
Yeah. All those little stories that are just building to this larger story. I mean, it was just a tapestry. It was just wonderful. This show, I couldn't recommend it more, I think.
It's so freaking. I really enjoyed. I think it was the second episode. Well, I enjoyed all the episodes.
No, you only enjoyed the second
Only
episode.
second one was good. The one where they get the scientist. I think it's in Indonesia.
Sure.
Do you remember that?
When that starts,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like that intro was so good to me. Like that made I feel like that really captured the essence of these zombie movies, like these catastrophic events
Yeah.
occurring, and it's like I think they did a good job in like the tension that they had there, and like and building the tension, but also just like the ominous feeling of like this person knows what's gonna happen, or like you could see the fear in her eyes, and it's obviously like, you know what show you're watching, so it's like it's bound to come. But I think from the music, from the directing, I think it stood out to me as like one of those moments where I'm like, I'm and like I could say to myself, I was like, I really like this. I'm really enjoying this as I'm watching. And then it's obviously like you said, I think there's so many different points of the story where eventually they tie it together.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it works so well. And it's not too heavily like, I don't think there was a lot of like, the infected, like it wasn't like overused.
Yeah.
In a sense,
But there's still those big set pieces where like the house collapses.
Yeah, they remind you that was one of the moments where I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
And that's where it reminds you, it's like, oh yeah, there's still, these infected on this show. And we can still have like spots like this.
Mm-hmm. But I love that, the infected. I love that they're not zombies. They're their own thing with their own rules, because that's the other thing too, that zombies, like what is a zombie has kind of been watered down over time. And they go with this spore and this fungus. And that intro on the first episode that gives us the like scientific study on the pandemic caused by bacteria. That's harrowing now.
It's just because it's like chilling stuff, man, because it's like you make it so realistic where it's like, oh, this could potentially actually happen. This feels like it could be real.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. The first couple of weeks, I skipped buying mushrooms at the supermarket. My omelets were fungus free. We got expectations and hope for the future, which some people have different expectations, some positive, some negative. We hinted a little bit at The Last of Us 2, not the most critically acclaimed or well-renowned or accepted, at least by the fan base, chapter in this 2-part series. I'm also surprised that... Go ahead. Controversial. I'm surprised that season 1 was the entirety of the first game. What did you think about this decision? You guys don't.
I mean, I think it's fine. The pacing was fine. It didn't feel rushed.
It felt right? It felt right, but it feels like we're out of story to tell, maybe? No? Do you think... Okay, full disclosure. This might be a spoiler for the games and or TV show. We don't know because the TV show's not made, but one of the big controversial points, right, is that Joel is eliminated very early on in the second game, right? Everyone's aware of that? If you weren't, I'm sorry. I just spoiled it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said, huge spoiler. But I think a lot of people, this conversation has been going on because I've had people that don't play the games or don't even know anything that have talked to me about this because they kind of feel it coming in the show itself. A lot of people thought he was going to die at the end of this season.
I do not see that happening.
You don't think he's going to die in season 2? Because they have deviated from the show.
I was like, there's no way you're going to kill him in the first season. Because people were like legit freaking out.
Yeah.
They were like...
Because I think a lot of them have heard that he dies in the series. A lot of people know, even if they don't play video games.
You know what? They're traumatized by Game of Thrones.
And that's true too, because Game of Thrones did that. Another HBO show has done that too. Just kill off main characters, especially at the end of the first season. But is it really, if he does, either he dies at the end of this season or beginning of next season? Do you think they take the criticisms?
That's been my biggest question. Like knowing how the reception was and how like the decision that they made. It's not gonna. I don't know. I don't think it'll go well. If they do it how they did it in the game, I don't think it'll go well.
I think they lose a lot of people.
Because
I think they're gonna lose a lot of people, even if they don't do it how they do it in the game. If they do it at all, I think.
Because Joel has to.
He has to die, but does he have to die at the beginning of season 2?
No, I don't even think he dies. I think they have enough for another season.
You think there's a
time jump. There's quite a time jump.
Yeah, there's a huge time jump. Yeah.
So I think they have enough for another season.
They're not recasting Bella Ramsey. They said she's gonna be.
They should totally.
Because she's gonna age with the show.
Yeah, but she can act like.
Second game.
Yeah, the next season is The Last of Us 2, but they are following the time jump, but they're keeping her because she's gonna grow older, and she's about the age she should be anyways. She's playing younger than she does in real life.
Did they say that this is just gonna be 2 seasons?
That's what they have.
They said that the next season is the second game.
I've heard they might stretch it to 2 seasons. The Last of Us 2 seasons.
I mean, I
Yeah, I mean, none of
can
us.
see
I
that
mean,
happening too.
I could see that happening. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that if 2 games is 2 seasons, that's perfect. I just don't believe in a television show that's going to plan to be only 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think 3. I think if he's gonna bite the bullet, I think it's the end of 2. If they're gonna do 3,
I don't want this to be a Walking Dead situation here where we go on for years.
I don't think so. I think they know what it is, and I think
They'll find the next project to do with Pedro Pascal.
pretty
After.
much.
Yeah.
No, for sure. I don't anticipate this lasting more than 3 seasons for sure.
Okay. I think if we're talking about expectations and hope, that's my hope. They can stick to the original story. Again, I don't know why it's that controversial besides this main issue that I think a lot of people have heard about.
Do you know
I know
it?
there's a ton of other stuff.
Do you know what it is?
What happens in The Last of Us 2?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I know some of the controversial things, and some of them are political, and some of them are
No, this one isn't it.
no.
The big one is not it.
Okay. Well, is it? Can we talk about it on this show, or is it better?
Not
left-
on the show. I'm not gonna say that.
okay. All right then. So I know there's a lot of divisive reasons, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about as a TV show. Joel is the show. I don't know. I love Bella Ramsey, but I don't know if she can carry this show for general audiences. A lot of people are watching this show, and I don't know that they'll accept any reason for him to die soon. You know, event.
It's not. I don't see it soon. I don't. And if they do it, then man, you got a set on you because that's crazy. I think if it is just gonna be 2 seasons, that's the end.
And you have to get someone strong. Then the second game,
The new protagonist.
the new.
Yeah.
You need someone strong for that. If they're
I just don't see audiences accepting almost anyone in place of Pedro Pascal. And that's just what I think. But we shall see. We shall see. When's the next season?
I think they'll be filming at the end of this year, so probably end of 2024, beginning of 2025. I think they said.
Okay. So that's when it'll release in 2025, possibly.
Yeah. So either at the end of 2024 or like January 2025, which I would assume that's when it's going to be.
All right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see 2 years from now. But in the meantime, what long-term effects, to finish off, do you think this series has on popular culture as a whole? The apocalypse film, the zombie genre, video game adaptations.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna get a lot more open. The Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Film. They said they were gonna show it a lot more love after seeing.
So that's going to be a movie?
Sick.
It's going to be a movie?
From what I've heard, yes.
You think it'll be a movie franchise? Yeah. You played this game?
I've only watched some of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else? What else has PlayStation? It kind of weirds me out when the PlayStation credits roll at the end of the series.
God of War.
That's right.
Is that what
I think God of War is signed to Amazon Prime. I think they're doing God of War there.
I think hopefully studios realize careful stories and help them
And respect them, treat them for real.
and target them to a general audience.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Super Mario Brothers movie. Seems like it's nostalgia trip for gamers, but I think any kid's going to like that. Even I see a generation of children watching this movie and then playing Mario Brothers games.
What are we talking
Oh
about?
yeah, absolutely.
Video game adaptation movies? Super Mario? What? Why are you rolling your eyes? Listeners can't.
I
Hear you.
read.
No.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew what it was. I just had to confirm what it was, and
Oh, I thought you were talking about a controversial choice in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
that whole movie's a controversial choice. You're talking about as if it's gonna be good.
We're talking about the other Fungus movie. Yeah, I think if it is good, I think it's a launching.
I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be good. What do you launching point for what?
For new gamers from the movie instead of vice versa. And if they start treating video game adaptations like serious art form, like okay, Mario Brothers is obviously an animated movie with cartoons, but this is a serious, gritty, cinematic story.
Yeah, just like Sonic.
Just like Sonic, exactly. I think if they can create quality adaptations, I think it's going to expand the opportunities for more projects in that same ilk, as well as create a new generation of gamers.
But I also think it has to do with the game itself. I think how the game is constructed, how the game is made. I think it's obviously it's still possible. You just have to get creative enough with it. But I think obviously, like we said, Last of Us works so well is because this game is very story driven.
Yeah.
I think it's hard I think you have to find the right medium for a game like Mario Brothers or something like that with it being animated. Do I think that would... okay, the only time I'll say this is because the SNL short proved that it could be good. Have you seen it?
What are we talking about?
Mario,
the Mario
Pedro
Kart?
Pascal's Mario.
Yes,
and the
yes,
SNL.
that was
Actually,
excellent.
funny coincidence.
I thought you were gonna tell me Elon Musk as Wario.
Oh no.
Yeah, my mind went to the same.
I was like, that can prove that you can make a real life Mario.
No, that SNL skill was actually pretty. It was pretty entertaining. But I think, like you said, I think it has to be the correct outlet. Just like how they were gonna make Last of Us for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely works better as a TV show.
Yeah, I can't help but like fantasize dead show.
Oh yes, that would have to be a show.
Yeah, it's called Yellowstone.
Oh, nice. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't watch Yellowstone.
You're not gonna watch Yellowstone.
But that's the thing, that these genres exist already. So it's
honestly, it could be. I haven't seen the old ones, like the 1880 whatever, or the one with Harrison Ford. So it could be a Red Dead. Because Yellowstone's basically like a modern Western.
So, and then those go back in time to
exactly
tell Westerns. So,
and that's why I gotta watch those now. Actually,
yeah, you all caught up on Yellowstone?
Yeah.
You would recommend this, or is there a barrier for entry on the show?
Recommend what, Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Is
it more geared towards older audience? I know a lot of parents and grandparents like this show.
Yeah, I guess it's more for older audiences. I like Westerns, and I guess I didn't really imagine it being a modern Western until I'm like, half of the stuff I'm watching is like literal cowboys doing cowboy stuff. And I'm like, huh. But then like it also like has obviously like family dynamics and things like that, which I think are very interesting.
Is there an episode that they just stay up late at night playing poker? Because that's what I did in Red Dead.
Yeah,
No.
how'd you know?
Is that real?
Yeah, it's not a whole episode, but
no,
like
that actually happens. Okay.
No, there's like different segments in the show where they're like, there's just montages of them like doing cattle work and roping and playing cards with each other, playing music and having concerts.
It's Red Dead.
Oh, that's literally what it is. Like they have like, you know, it has like, you know, it has shots of them like riding off into the sunset and like just doing cowboy, and it glorifies the cowboy way of life, which I think is nice. I never really thought of it that way.
Do they ever like hunt an animal and then the skin just magically, the hide vanishes from the animal and it's in their inventory automatically?
Not like in their inventory. They were just over encumbered, so it just drops to the
floor. Oh, okay, just drops to the floor. Got it. Okay. That's right. I'm excited. Yellowstone. The future of video game adaptations is bright because of Yellowstone, but also because of The Last of Us. And I think it's good to see that new life can be breathed into something that was dead or even undead, like the zombie genre, and that it can be told in a new way, and that things like video game adaptations and these post-apocalyptic films, we can have new ways of recreating the kind of stories that I think have gained the attention and the adoration of audiences for generations. Any final thoughts on The Last of Us?
I think that was the last of it.
That's fair.
Good luck.
Yeah, no. Season 2 is going to be quite interesting. If they really are going to the second game, they're going to have to turn that stuff around.
All right. Till next time, Google whatever he's talking about.
Don't do it.
Don't put it in the comments,
Don't
though.
do it.
Don't put it in the comments for this show. Okay? We have day jobs. Goodbye.